The sun has just finished leaning over the far bank of the Nile. Its last gold slides away, and the air cools, softening the edges of the day. You can feel the heat of the day settling into the stones, into the pots and the woven baskets, keeping them warm like a quiet memory. The market is beginning to shift. Stalls that hummed and buzzed in the bright hours fold into a calmer, simpler pulse. Lanterns are struck and lit like little moons come down to earth. Their flames tremble, steady and small. The world at your feet is made of ordinary magic. Clay, wood, woven reed, the warm breath of baking bread. Walk slowly with me across the packed earth. Your sandals press gentle impressions into the dust. Each step is a soft exhale. Hear the market around you in a way that feels like listening from inside a shell. Voices muffled, steps softened. The steady, slow rhythm of closing. A woman folds away bolts of dyed cloth and hums a tune that seems to speak only to the lantern beside her. A boy ties the last knot in a bundle of dates, his fingers sticky and sure. Farther on, a fisherman slides a fish into a barrel of salt and pats it down, deliberately, reverently, like a small ceremony. Nothing is rushed. Time takes its ease. The baker's stall sits on a corner where two paths meet. It is low and wide and smells of warmth. The oven is an earthen dome, blackened, where flames once licked and gentle, where it now breathes out heat. Around the oven are baskets of flatbreads, golden rounds piled like small sunrises. They steam softly, clouding the air with an inviting sigh. A single lamp there is shaded by palm leaves, and its light falls over a table where flour dust floats, like tiny constellations disturbed. At the baker is a quiet person whose hands live in flour. He wears a simple linen wrap tied at the waist, the rough cloth softened from use. His face is soft with contentment, and perhaps 1,000 small remembrances of mornings and afternoons, of dough and fire and water. He reaches for a lump of dough, like one might reach for a sleeping child, gentle, careful, steady. Watch how his fingers move. They press, they fold, they coax the inner air into the dough. Each fold is a small promise that will become something warm and sustaining. Feel the pace here. Let your breathing match the baker's hands. Inhale slowly as he lifts the mass, feeling the weight of wheat and water, and exhale as he presses. It makes a circle, lifts it again. There is a rhythm in this work. Press, fold, press, fold, turn. The dough yields, then resists, then relaxes under his palms. It will rise a little more, like a small, patient sigh. Your lungs find the same gentle pulse, and with each breath you become a little calmer, a little nearer to sleep. The flour used here is ground from emmer or barley, the grains of the field that turn their faces to the sun. It is coarse, honest flour, with the scent of the fields still in it. You can almost taste the dust of the stalks, a faint, comforting earthiness that belongs to seasons and harvests. The baker mixes it with water drawn from a well, cool and clear, and sometimes with a touch of sourdough left from an earlier day. That sourness is not sharp. It is familiar and warm, like the memory of a good story told twice. Tiny bubbles begin to appear inside the dough, determined little worlds forming their soft spaces. Imagine the hands patting down the dough into flat rounds. They are thin enough to cook quickly, thick enough to hold a little weight. The baker sprinkles them with sesame seeds sometimes, or presses a thin smear of date syrup across one side before it goes into the oven. Sometimes he presses in a few crushed nuts or a sliver of soft cheese from a nearby store. The additions are small, gentle luxuries like a kind word, tucked inside an ordinary letter. The oven is built close to the ground, and it has a mouth shaped like a crescent. The baker slides a wooden peel across the hearth, lifts a round of bread and tucks it against the warm wall. You may hear the soft hiss as moisture leaves the dough, the gentle flare when steam finds a seam. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that sound, a steady, quiet hiss, the kind of noise that sounds like the world is exhaling with you. The bread blisters where the heat meets the surface, creating tiny brown moons on a soft golden plain. When the baker pulls the breads out, he taps one and it sounds hollow and content, like a small drum of satisfaction dot around the stall. Other vendors move with their own ritual. A woman selling honey arranges her jars so that the light makes them look like captured sunsets. She will sometimes offer a small sliver of honeyed cake, a single piece wrapped in reed leaf, to a child passing by. A spice seller lays out strings of saffron, cumin, and coriander, their scents rising in shy wafts that curl into the flame above the baker's lamp. Each scent layers onto the next, creating a slow perfume that feels like being wrapped in a shawl of aromas. Let those scents settle in your thoughts, one over the other, until all your small worries are folded into them and held gently. People come and go in soft movements. A couple leans close to choose a bread. The man whispers something that makes the woman smile, and the sound is bright and brief, like a small bell. A scholar pauses to purchase a flatbread, tucking it into the fold of his robe as if keeping a small consolation for later between thin pages. An old woman with silvered hair asks for the bread that has a little extra crust. She likes the crackle. The baker hands it to her with the same care as a prayer. Watch how small acts of care thread through the market. Notice how nothing is hurried here. Each transaction is a ritual made of tiny courtesies. As dusk deepens, the sky becomes a deep, gentle blue. Lanterns multiply their soft orbs. The market's noiseless city, more village now become a tapestry of small sounds. The clip of wooden pegs, the rustle of rolled mats, the distant pluck of a stringed instrument, a low murmur of a boat on the river. Sometimes a child plays a little tune on a reed flute, and the notes drift like trapped birds being freed again, briefly, before they settle into the hush. Let these sounds slide over you like a warm hand smoothing a blanket. Your shoulders loosen. The baker takes a moment to rest, leaning on the wooden counter. He watches children chasing one another between the stalls. Their laughter is bright, but small now, softer than the midday shout. One little boy approaches shyly and asks for just a small corner of bread. The baker smiles the way someone smiles at a secret and breaks off a tiny triangle that fits easily into a small palm. The boy's eyes shine with gratitude and he runs, leaving the taste of bread on his lips that will remind him of the market for years to come. This small exchange is the kind of moment that holds a day together. It is the soft thread that keeps the cloth from coming apart. Breathe in as you picture the boy running, the dust little clouds under his feet. Breathe out and imagine the baker's steady breathing, his chest rising and falling like the dough. Feel the warmth that comes from being around people who make things. There is a deep, old comfort in watching things be made with care. It is as if you are being told, without words, that the world is ordered, that bellies will be fed, that the night will come and hands will find their pillows. The bread is shared and eaten with plain joy. Two friends sit on a bench made from a felled palm trunk, dividing a round between them, tearing pieces with careful fingers. They talk in low voices about small things, a child's first word, the stubbornness of a goat, a storm that passed without harm. The bread is a bridge between them, an everyday ritual that makes the ordinary into something tender. As they eat, a little of the bread flakes down onto the dust and a sparrow hops near, pecking with polite, quick movements. Even the bird knows how to be gentle at dusk. Look now at the way the baker moves when he is finishing his work. He wipes his hands on his apron, gathering crumbs like he gathers thoughts before sleep. He folds away his cloth, brushing flour into the palm of his hand and then into the air where it disperses slowly, like faint snow. He pats the last warm bread into a basket and covers it with a reed mat. The oven's heat keeps the bread warm a little longer. A private warmth that lingers like a small, satisfied hum in the corner. A lantern is lowered until it barely glows. The square becomes a soft pool of shadow and light. Conversations thin, and voices become the kind of whisper that might be a part of the lantern's own small story. The sky overhead is awash with early star-steeny pinpricks that seem to listen. The market unwinds like a sleepy spool, and the baker, with his closing motions, is almost part of the darkness now, a figure who has done the day's work and is ready to let the night finish the rest. You might notice now the little details that make the market homey and harmless. A string of garlic hanging on a peg, a child's doll left propped against a sack of grain, a smear of honey on an old woman's finger. These small, imperfect things sit together and make a pattern that is reassuring to look at. Let your eyes rest on those details the way you let your thoughts land on a soft patch of moss. There is no need to smooth everything out. The rough edges are part of the world's quiet beauty.